Borderlands 2, first released in September of 2012, is available on all modern platforms, and its price varies wildly, as the game by itself is $20, but there are various collections and repackaging that range from $20 all the way up to $150, though those more expensive packages always come with more than just Borderlands 2. Anyway, Borderlands 2 is the second Borderlands game. Shocking, I know. And it is a huge step forward in refinement from the first game, and has set the tone for what the series has been ever since. So, after a pretty good opening cinematic, and selecting your character, you find yourself in a frozen wasteland. In the base game, you have 4 characters to choose from. They are all highly similar to the characters in the first game. Instead of a soldier, you have a commando. Instead of a siren, you have a different siren, and so forth and so on. If you have a bundle with the DLC, you'll have 2 more characters. But once you select your character, you are in a frozen wasteland, being rescued by the last remaining claptrap. And the fact there is only one claptrap in this game is a huge improvement over the first game. But this claptrap lets you know you're only in this frozen wasteland because a gentleman named Handsome Jack tried to kill you. Handsome Jack is the main antagonist of this game. He was never actually mentioned in the first Borderlands, but apparently he was behind the scenes making everything happen in that game. He's from the Hyperion Corporation, and he wants to remake Pandora in his image. And part of that starts with basically wiping out everything that's on Pandora, and also gaining access to a second vault on Pandora that again was not mentioned in the first game. Jack, for his part, is one of those funny, charming villains. It's very clear that he believes himself the hero in this situation, and that he's gone more than a little mad with power. But once you find your way out of the frozen wasteland, you'll find a place called Sanctuary. Sanctuary is the main hub of the game, and a lot of the characters from the first game are here, including the playable characters from the first game. And unlike the first game, they all actually have their own personalities now. Where all 4 of them were just after money in the first game, we now find out that they're all kind of heroes out of nowhere, that truly care about the goings-on of the regular people of Pandora. Which I guess is fair enough, because if you're going to have them in this game, they kind of need a broader personality than we're here for money. Here you find out they've been fighting the good fight against Jack, but they need help because they're losing. And of course, you're going to turn that all around. And through the course of turning things around, you'll see that this game is far more varied than the original Borderlands. Varied in terms of locations, as there's much more than desert wastelands this time around. Varied in terms of enemies, as there's much more wildlife, and even human enemies come in far more flavors this time. And varied in that some of the missions you do have multiple ways to finish them. Gameplay, on the other hand, has been streamlined, as you no longer have weapon skills to worry about. So this means if you've mostly been using pistols, and you suddenly find a great shotgun, you're not going to lose anything by switching to that shotgun. Speaking of guns, they have also been changed for the better. As you'll notice, guns are branded. Jacobs, Dahl, Hyperion, etc. Each one of these brands has specific properties that will be present on all of their guns. Torg weapons will always be explosive. Bandit weapons will always have huge amounts of ammo. And knowing what brands are going to do what will prevent you from buying weapons that might not be ideal for your playstyle. Driving is back in this game, and it's just as terrible as it always is in Borderlands. This time you have 2 different vehicles to choose from. The small fast vehicles from the first game, and a larger, more truck-like vehicle later on. To get around, you're going to have to use them, and it will be terrible the entire time. There are actually several missions this time around, centered entirely around driving. Having to drive around the map and either pick up or deliver something under a particular time limit. These missions are technically possible, but their rewards are fairly meager, so they're not really worth the frustration they will cause you having to do and redo them to finally succeed. Thankfully, all of these driving-centric missions are fully optional. As you play the game, you'll often notice that the game is trying to be funny, and honestly, the humor is a mixed bag in this game. Most of the stuff with Handsome Jack actually works fairly well, with him being kind of like a more business-minded Joker. But then there's characters like Tiny Tina, who is so clearly trying to be funny and is just so very annoying with every word they say. Of course, everyone's sense of humor is different, so there might be some people out there that truly enjoyed Tiny Tina. I mean, hypothetically, in the infinite void of the universe somewhere. So is Borderlands 2 worth your time and money? Well, Borderlands 2 is the game that very much solidified what a looter-shooter is. And even over a decade later, it's still pretty much the gold standard of what that genre is. And it's much to the game's credit that it is just as enjoyable as a single-player or multiplayer experience. If you're looking to buy it specifically for PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, I would recommend either the Borderlands Handsome Collection or Borderlands Legendary Collection, as both of these collections can be found physically at places like Walmart for $20, and either collection will give you Borderlands 2, along with all of its various DLC. And there is a whole lot of DLC for Borderlands 2. So yes, I do recommend Borderlands 2. It does an excellent job of combining the gameplay of first-person shooters with the right mix of RPG elements, steadily making you feel more powerful. And despite being the second Borderlands game, it makes for an excellent standalone experience, as very little from the first game is referenced, period, and what very little is can easily be picked up from context. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.